Hello everyone. Guineas out the way now, though. The English Guineas out the way. The French Guineas out the way today. Jack, let's take them in chronological order first.
Yeah.
What did you make of the weekend at Newmarket, and particularly the two classic races?
Some really informative races.
For sure.
Punting point of view, not so good. Well, we both backed Bromwich well, didn't we? Probably cursing the ride, maybe kicking a touch too soon. We'll get onto that in a little bit, greater detail. But no, I thought both of them were good renewals, the right horses. Obviously, City of Troy was a complete bomb out, really. We'll talk about that in a sec. But no, as I say, I think...
then two absolute freak results. Well, not freak, but like very surprising results in the French.
French
classics today.
Tactical races, I thought, today. I must admit, I need to watch them again. I've only watched them live, but really tactical races.
Absolutely.
Again, the O'Brien horses disappointing.
Yep.
Horses again needing the run, or maybe just not trained on. Or what do you think?
I would be forgiving of Henry Longfellow today. I think
I'm
not sure. There's a hell of a lot that he could have done really. I mean, he didn't pick up like you would have liked to have seen. You know, when he did get a bit of space nearer the end of the race. But in general, watching them all this year, they're just taking a run, aren't they? And it's very hard to make. It's very hard to kind of know what to make of them, really.
It's not usually the case, though.
Yeah. Especially when he said, you know, I've gone a bit light on City of Troy this year, which was interesting, wasn't it? Not really what you expect of Ballydoyle.
No, that's true. I think that might be a little bit of an excuse.
Yes.
Whereas his comments pre-race for Henry Longfellow today, it was almost as if he was framing it as, you know, this is a springboard to bigger targets.
Is that not just like explaining after the event? You know, he's just expecting.
Well, I think he's almost covering bases at this point after how disappointing City of Troy actually was, wasn't he? And I saw him for the first time in the flesh in the paddock. I'm not saying it put me off and I thought, oh, well, he's not going to win, but he certainly didn't knock your eye out. He's not. No. I can't have him being 16-1 for a start. I mean, this horse must be 15-3 at most. Definitely didn't knock your eye out. Wasn't too much to look at, but as I say, I mean, it wouldn't be like, oh, I can't have him in that respect. It's just, he wouldn't be the most beautiful horse you'd look at.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an athlete, isn't he? I think I was when he was going down to post, that's what struck me. You know, he's muscled up. He looks lean. He looks quite light. He looks kind of athletic. But there's no doubt that he looks small in comparison to some of the bigger colts, the likes of Inisherin. But let's take it from the start.
Yeah, let's take it from the start. And obviously, one of the excuses was that Aidan said that he jumped out the stalls here. To me, it didn't look like he really did too much wrong there.
No.
I think
he's not gone shooting away.
He hadn't been long in the stalls there either. Just looking here, Night Raiders obviously fighting Danny Tudhope from the off.
His race is run already, isn't it?
He's just got no chance doing that in a race like this.
I mean, you're picking out Inisherin's lobbing along in front at going at 40 miles an hour. You know, they went a decent clip in this, didn't they? Despite the fact that, you know, no one really exaggeratedly held their horse up off this gallop. Yeah,
I mean, the only one who did, obviously, out the back is Notable Speech. His turn of foot, which we'll see a bit later on.
But he's not miles behind, is he?
No.
He's not. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a speed favouring track. We all know that, so no one wants to get too far behind, and it probably forced this pace. I mean, look, we've got 11-second furlong there. Around.
And at this point, obviously, Ryan's not happy, and you know at this point the game's done. Yeah, because a horse like how he performed last season, he shouldn't be going like that. I think of all the horses in the paddock, the one that I was most impressed with was Alionabi. Thought he was a big horse that wouldn't be suited by the dip, and to me, again, if you just look at his knee action there, I think he probably will want a bit of dig. He's certainly a horse I'm going to keep on side of. I think he'll get further in time. But yeah, you just look at the Speech here pulling away. Rosalian's obviously, has he fully seen out the trip? I think he has, to be fair, because if you look, he's come right away from his stablemate and the others, but the winner was just far too good on the day.
I think that he'll get a hell of a lot closer in a different scenario. Because, I mean, I think Rosalian's been ridden quite close to that pace.
Yeah.
And Notable Speech has benefited from being ridden off it. So I think if you do, say you could reverse their positions, it's only a length or so between them at the line.
I think a turn of track will definitely help Rosalian.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
it'll help him as well.
Very true. And then if you add Henry Longfellow to the mix or what last got. We've got a proper race.
But I think this is a fantastic race. I think you can really look through the form and go, yeah, no, this is solid. I thought Inner Sharing ran a cracking race for what his third start of his life.
Yeah,
and
on ground that's probably
a little bit too tight.
Yeah, I mean it was a really warm day at Newmarket. It would have been drying up all the time. Probably, obviously, would have been quicker on the Sunday, but.
And he was right on the pace the whole way.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Stuck out to the line. I thought it was really impressive from him. Okay. So he's one I still retain a lot of faith in.
French Derby next for him, possibly?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a perfect race for him. He plugs on. He does plug on.
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see what they do with Value Derby. I thought out of all of them, he was the one as a physical that I was most impressed with. Going up to 10 a time. Definitely keeping him on side. Ghostwriter, he ran okay.
Ran great.
Yeah.
Run really well, and that brings the form together. I mean, I think you can look at this and go, this is fairly solid. This.
It'd be interesting what they do with him next, because Clive Cox had obviously mentioned the Derby. I'm still not sure about him staying that, but certainly 10 furlongs should be within his compass.
Yeah, I thought he ran a really nice step up in trip trial, shall we say there?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, the elephant in the room is City of Troy.
Yes.
What do you do now with him? Can you give him any chance in the Derby? Certainly been well supported at 4-1.
Well, I think he's been supported on the back of the August Roudan sort of logic. And they're just completely different horses, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's not a hell of a lot in his pedigree that would give you the same level of enthusiasm that the likes of being Deep Impact, Rhododendron would give you plenty of encouragement that the Derby you should rock on to the Derby. But looking at him, well, it's a bit of a worry now, isn't it? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. But I mean, I've heard people suggesting that they might retire him and we might never see him again. I think that's unlikely, personally.
I think if anything, we're going to see him a lot more.
I think we're going to see him a lot more, given who
after the Bull burst with these O'Brien horses, Churchill
exactly.
is one that springs. They just run them every big race then. And
exactly. I think it's absolutely. He's going to dance every dance. If this horse was owned by a different organisation, there is a chance that he might kind of be retired off the back of this. Because commercially that's very important. But for this operation, this horse isn't some, they'll have another Justify coming off the ranks,
I mean, we've got Henry Longfellow.
There'll be more coming. They've got plenty of stallions. They don't need to protect one like him that's bubbles burst pretty drastically. But I wouldn't write off him coming back in some form. But you have to look at the Derby now and think, is that really what he's going to want? I don't know, looking at him, looking at the pedigree. He looked invincible before this, so I don't know, but I think I don't know. I think maybe a mile to 10 furlongs, and they'll keep tipping away. But I'm sure they'll go to the Derby with the nets, just because they're punchy, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I can't have them on the back of that, and I fully bought into the hype. But
could you have August Roudan last year?
The difference was it was bad ground. Did he clip heels with?
It was Little Big Bear that clipped
heels. Okay.
And then he was interfered with a bit, wasn't he? And he was stuck out the back and just... the thing with him, he spat the dummy out. You watched that, he spat the dummy out. City of Troy just ran disastrously.
Beaten after 3-4 furlongs. I could not have him on the back of that road. No.
Absolutely. No. Right.
1,000 guineas, yeah. We'll watch it here. A few more runners in this field, Joey.
There are a few more, yeah. There's you've got the French filly.
Cut the winner already. Well, she was struggling to go the pace early on, to be fair.
Exactly, yeah. And they seem to go a similar sort of clip to the Colts. Maybe not quite so quick, but Ramatuelle was right up there. I mean, if you're looking at a horse that looked like she didn't train on, she'd have been right up your list.
Yeah.
She looked tiny.
She was a real racy type. And, I must admit, looking at her, I was a little bit concerned, but she was backed as if defeat was out of the question.
Yeah, I really had the same thing, was it last year with Discoveries? I backed her before the race and turned up on the day and saw her and went, oh my God, here we go. This isn't good. And I felt exactly the same with her when I saw her.
I think, Night Raider we mentioned, but Fallen Angel was a little disappointing. I mean, it was
and we've hardly heard a thing about it.
Exactly. I guess City of Troy's kind of took up all that news aspect, but it was really disappointing performance from both of them. Again, she looks beaten already here. And we're just looking at Tam Farner. I mean, Jamie Spencer would love to have this again. He's had to come round rivals. El Malka, who's 2-3 lengths behind us, already got the run on her. You run it again. Porta Fortuna could have won. as I say, I think the second, third, fourth, fifth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could run this again in different aspects, and you could get different winners each time. Ramatel, if she'd been held on to a bit longer, I still think she's the best filly in the race, I must admit. But maybe that's a little bit of pocket talking.
I've still heard plenty of people saying after the race that she didn't stay. And I find that this is the sort of lazy comments you hear sometimes. Because for me,
I mean, she's been
look at her.
She's been the neck.
She's been beating the neck. Like, it's when people say, right, so you had everyone before the race said that, well, not everyone, but as in people who didn't fancy her said, I don't think she'll stay. And then after they go, well, I don't think she's fully seen out the trip. Well, there's literally a matter of fractions there that she's stayed in a pretty quickly run race. And right on the firing line of the whole thing. And she's been done in the final few yards. She stayed fine.
On a furlong up the hill at the end. I mean,
I'd like to see her around the bend. I go over the mile at Royal Ascot myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be dropping her back to 6 furlongs myself.
The worry would be, as we kind of alluded to there, is she doesn't look like she has much scope to get any kind of physical improvement.
No.
Some of these might still be maturing. I'd worry a little bit that maybe give them another couple of months. Obviously, we've had quite a wet winter.
Yeah.
A bit more time to mature, that some of those might progress. I remember Palace Pierre obviously beating Pinatubo. I know that was Colts, but that type of thing, give them a couple more months, and I think 2 or 3 might just go past her a bit more in terms of progression.
And I think that's often more exaggerated with fillies as well. It takes them a little bit longer to kind of come to themselves, doesn't it? Through the cold weather in the spring.
Yeah.
And, the colds sometimes a little bit further forward. I think you see that over the years in the 1,000 guineas. It's really susceptible to the 2-year-old phenomenon. The last 2-year-old cliche. Last 2-year-old race cliche.
Well, what Tom and I discussed, Porta Fortuna was one of the fillies that I thought probably wouldn't train on. I mean, she's ran a storm race.
Absolute storm, yeah.
Clearly showing that she has, but again, she wasn't the biggest in the paddock, but she certainly run a screamer. Camfona, I think, goes for the French.
She has the Diana.
French Oaks, yeah.
She does, yeah.
And then Alang Lang's also ran a great trial for the Epsom Oaks.
She's run a cracker, isn't she?
Yeah.
I had some negativity about it. I thought watching that back, she did stay onto the line like an Oaks filly.
Yeah, I think of all, obviously, City of Troy, her and the 2 today, Content Henry. She's the one that's run for a lot of credit. Obviously, just been beaten. I just think, maybe she's just a middle distance type, and she's just been tapped for toe.
I think so.
Perfectly good trial.
Yeah.
And probably a worthy favourite at this stage.
I think she's a very good horse, and I think she's been running over trips that's going to be the absolute bare minimum. So I thought that was more encouraging than some other people thought. Myself. Right, great races, a great weekend. Are there any other performances on the weekend or since that you want to highlight? I'm not sure. I think maybe galloping on to the excitement of York.
Just quickly mention Twilight Calls, because I know he's a favourite of yours. I did text you before the race. I'd had a little go on him. Head and hands after a furlong, could hardly go the gallop, it seemed, and then he...
But there wasn't. It seemed to me a kind of a plan as much as anything.
Well, he was weak enough, and I mean, it was just a race that was there to be won.
It's been ages since he's won.
I mean, his trainer's hardly had a winner for about 6-7 months, I think I was looking. That was a fantastic run. I mean, another 20 yards and he's in front.
And he's a horse that goes really well fresh.
You enjoyed the quickening ground, and it didn't kind of, his performances in this race in the past, he'd been on the wrong side, soft ground, whatever. Like, we know Ascot is tailor-made for him. There was 25 to 1 about for the King Stand. I think it's the King Charles, whatever now, but you know the race. There was bits and bobs of 25 to 1. That's been quickly snapped up. He did general 16s now. To be fair, I still think that's fair because it's a division that's wide open. Obviously, Bradsell won it last year. He's kind of disappointed a few times since. He'll obviously turn up again, but
we know the track will suit Twilight Calls. We're hoping for really quick ground, a cavalry charge with the Australian filly that's coming over. Aspora, as long as she runs well in Temple Stakes, she should be going.
You know, it's going to be a massive pace on. So
exactly.
Yeah,
and if you can, track suits him.
I think we're both in agreement that any of the 20 to 1 about is excellent value at this stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a horse that will probably not win, but he'll give you a good run for your money.
Yeah, I genuinely think he could win. I really do. I think he's an excellent each way bet.
He's a frustrating horse, though, Jack.
He is, yeah.
I mean, but that day broke my heart when he got done by King's Lynn. That He is absolute. He has blotted his copybook on more than one occasion.
Yeah,
and it's got to the point now where I find him.
Well, I kind of left him alone since Newmarket this race last year, so I've kind of.
What's left of my credibility will go if I get in any way excited about this horse ever again. So I'm going to play it down, whatever happens. I'm afraid. I'll never back him ever again unless he has some sort of double figures around.
Okay.
Because he's just not a horse you want to be with. Win only.
I need to take some of that 20-1 before it disappears.
You do, yeah. I can't believe I haven't taken it already.
I know, I should have just done that.
Usually one of the first sharks at the carcass.
Well, I never thought he'd go, that 25-1 would go, but someone obviously agrees.
Exactly. I just think it's a winnable race, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's a fully winnable race. And we've got a fully jam-packed schedule this week from York.
We do, yeah. Probably my favourite meeting of the year. It's a tradition which I'm going to break this year, but I always try and... It's my birthday.
Favourite meeting of the year?
It's my birthday week. I always like to go on the Dante Day or the Friday. It's my birthday on Friday. I won't be there, unfortunately. But yeah, I just love it. It's midweek racing.
Yeah.
I mean, York's great whenever you go. It never feels too busy, but like it's about 3/4, well, not even that, half full. Yeah. But it's really informative racing, quality racing. And it always seems to be sunny as well when you go to York.
Yeah, it does.
But when I do, anyway.
But I think it's about the northeast of general, isn't it? Up east of the country. It's quite a lot of wind. It blows a lot of the clouds over, doesn't it?
It's just my favourite track.
Wind off the North Sea.
If viewers haven't been to York, they absolutely have to. It's, for me, by far the best track in the country. Closely followed, well, not closely, but Ascot's second best. But yeah, York is.
Of the good ones, yeah. Of like the tip toppers.
Oh,
I do have a particular soft spot myself for Windsor.
Okay, I've never been to Windsor.
Just for the in terms of like, I think you have to have a smaller, quieter course as well, because they're different, aren't they?
Yeah,
There's the big days, the place you want to go for the real Group 1 days, where it's big, it's busy, and the atmosphere's like on point. Whereas for me, I do also like the quieter days where you've just got a sunny evening at Windsor, come down the Thames from town on a boat. Yeah, it's just got lots of food options. It's got a beautiful paddock where you see a lot, and I just think it's just got a lovely vibe. Lots of bars. Easy to get a pint.
I'll have to get there this summer.
The owners and trainers, fantastic food. Honestly, tip top to Windsor, and they are part of the enemy. So we've got our boss probably behind the camera now, going, Jesus Christ, plugging Windsor, Sky Sports racing tracks. Move on now.
And moving on to a racing TV course is York, of course.
Indeed.
The Dante meet.
Yes.
And the first race we're going to talk about is the Duke of York.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Do you have a fancy?
I don't have a fancy that I'm going to bet per se. I really do like Swing Along.
Yes.
I think she needs quicker ground, so I think it's important to start on the ground. There's quite a bit of rain in the forecast, so I'm kind of going on the proviso it's going to be good, maybe good to soft.
Yeah.
And I think she's a filly for all that she's unbeaten at the track. She might just be wheel spinning a bit with bigger targets ahead. So it tempers enthusiasm at around 7-1. With the likelihood of softer ground, so it wouldn't be a betting race for me. But I really like her. She obviously likes the track. Probably Ascot's the time for her. But no, there's lots of obviously old favourites in here. I know you like Azure Blue.
I do. I think she's a cut above here.
Oh really?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she's come back. In fine fettle after obviously missing most of the year last year, so it's very disappointing, obviously, because she started off really in a really exciting way. She looks like she's got a lot of talent. I really, really like her. I think she's very, very straightforward, and I think if there's going to be one that's going to really rock and roll at Group 1s this year, it's going to be her.
Okay.
And she goes really well fresh. I think good to soft ground would be absolutely fine, perfect for her. Obviously, we all know what Michael Dodds can do with these sprinters.
Yeah.
And I just think 6 furlongs York, I think she'll take a lot of beating in this, and I think 11-2 is a very fair price. I just think you go down the rest of them, and I don't see one that I think can probably reach her level.
Really? I honestly think this is a really deep race. Like, Marshman's got a level, Millstream, I think they're solid enough horses. But I think Montasib, he's so unexposed over sprinting trips.
Yeah, sure.
Course winner. He's going to enjoy a bit of dig. I think he could potentially improve another half stone this year. Spycatcher was a horse that completely defied my expectations. Yeah. A good handicapper. Nearly won a Group 1 last year. He's going to have his favoured soft ground. I think Berkey will be obviously quicker ground for swing along, but it'd be happy enough that at least one of his horses, Spycatcher, is going to have that ground to suit. I see Ryan Moore's a provisional jockey book, and that obviously bodes well. I think it's a really I'm not saying really deep race.
Well, there's a difference between a deep race and one that has like real class to it. I think there's some competitive horses in here.
Yeah.
That if Azure Blue is not at her best,
right,
we'll be more than capable of beating her.
Okay.
But I don't think any of them are real tip-top Group 1 horses that could go forward this year. I don't think any of them would beat Highfield Princess last year.
Okay.
I think she beat Highfield Princess fairly comfortably in this exact race. Yeah. And I think you're getting a nice price against a lot of handicappers in there. Very good ones. But we all know that the difference between handicappers, very good handicappers, and Group 1 horses over sprint trips.
In the sprint
margin. It's not a very fine margin.
It's not too much.
But I do think that she's very, very good.
Very strong.
Yeah. I like it. I don't like tipping fabs, but I think she'll go off clear favourite on the day, won't she? She'll go off.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 7-2. I mean, general 11-2, 5-1 about.
I think she'll go off on the day. A very strong 5-2, 11-4 shot.
Each way or win?
I would be fully win with her.
Okay.
With a horse like her that does have a bit of blow-up potential after, basically so long off, I would much rather have my stake fully to win.
Okay.
Well, all duck and no dinner. That's why. And
very good.
We'll hopefully be having duck.
Too competitive for me, but moving on to the Musidora.
Sure.
One of my favourite races of the year, this as well. Obviously, the Fugle this back in the day.
Okay, right.
Again, I love this meeting, but I just always think it's a great race. It throws up obviously really good horses. Soul Sister last year, 18-1 tick for you.
Yeah.
Well, we were just discussing before though. Every man and his dog seemed to ignore the 18-1 and put her up for the Oaks at the hundreds, which you didn't do.
I know. Well, often that sort of thing goes wrong, doesn't it?
It does.
You have that sort of very, very shrewd thing. You go, oh my God, I'll put her up 100-1 for the Oaks.
Yeah.
And then you don't back her for the race, the Musidora.
Yeah.
She goes and wins that. And then she goes and finishes an honourable third in the Oaks, and you just cry your eyes out.
You do, yeah.
But everyone got their day, so unfortunately, my flyer, I took a flyer after winning this. I wasn't shrewd enough to avail of any of the 100-1 or tip it. So
I mean, 18-1 winner is still excellent work anyway.
Well, it is, yeah, but it's probably in hindsight the most disappointing 18-1 winner you could ever imagine.
That's probably fair. It is therefore your honours to pick the winner for us this year.
I think it's very hard, really, really hard. I think it's a very competitive race.
Okay.
I was so impressed with C Just in Time at Newmarket. Thought she was savage there at a meeting where basically everything had to be on the pace to win, and she sauntered from the back to win that. But obviously, Friendly Soul, very, 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 very impressive as well. That's a horse that you would have looked deeply into that form yourself, wouldn't you? Because they're horses that tie into your horses to follow for the year. That runs this week later on, doesn't he? So, which one of those two would you favour? Or you're looking somewhere else in this race, aren't you?
My concern, I've been so impressed with both of them as well. I fully agree. My concern with both of them, it's quite a quick turnaround, 10 and 12 days respectively for Friendly Soul and See Just in Time. The visuals for the Haggis filly,
savage.
Yeah, and
bloodless.
We discussed before about Haggis winners on debut. She was clued up, and I think the vibes were quite strong on her already. She's always been quite a good workhorse. So they obviously rate her quite a lot. I think the fact that William's happy enough to come here, just 12, I think says a lot. She's obviously got a good constitution, takes her work well. I just see that she isn't quite jocked up yet, whereas Kieran Schumacher is on Friend. So it's hard not to draw comparisons with Sea of Class. Yes. She skipped the Oaks way back when. I think she went to the Newbury trial and then went to Irish Oaks. Wouldn't be a surprise if they did that with her as well. He's certainly going to give her enough time. Friendly Soul, obviously her and Kalpana drew a fairway clear. I think that's really strong form. Yeah, really good. She looked like she was having a bit of a blow as she walked past on the way back in. She's going to come on quite considerably for that, I think. And I think she probably is the rightful favourite. It's not really a betting race for me. I'd be surprised if the winner doesn't come from that front pair though, because really impressive for me.
I agree. I did like Synology at Newbury. I mean, I think obviously it's always obviously a competitive race. It's very deep, but I find it very hard to, as you say, have any real strong betting opinion in it.
Yeah.
I think the two at the top are very, very competitive if they turn up. But as as you say, see just in time might not.
Yeah, and the Gosden record in this race, so
Savage.
Tried and tested route, and she could be one for the Diane as well, perhaps. But I think, given the route to the Epsom Oaks, they probably will go with that. Obviously the owner.
Well, just looking
they
at
have
pedigree.
A lot of French influence there.
But just looking at her pedigree, yeah, exactly the French influence, definitely for sure. I remember in Clover, she was at National Stud.
Yeah.
It's a 10 furlong pedigree, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So you would have thought, as you say, maybe the Diane would be where they choose to go in the end. Yeah. But she didn't seem to lap stamina last time.
She didn't.
She stayed on all the way to the line.
She didn't.
So, yeah, interesting. No strong opinion in that, though.
No, I think that's a race to leave, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Absolutely. And then we're going to kick on, aren't we, to the Thursday?
We are.
And the Dante, the meeting's namesake. And
yes.
What do we make of another short price Godolphin favourite?
Oh, look, if it does come up quite soft, I mean, he's worthy favourite on the form he's shown last year. Obviously, he's got to do it first time up, 201 days off, but I think he commands his position at the top.
Yeah.
Look at the fact that they're coming for this trial. They've obviously had a lot to choose from. He's obviously been the one that's probably shown up the most.
Yeah.
They took the one to Sandown. But I think this probably is their leading hope for the Derby. And
I was impressed by the boy at Sandown.
Yeah,
I know we'll have a full-on Derby preview in the coming weeks and days. So
yeah,
we won't go into too much. But I was impressed by your man at Sandown. I thought that was a really impressive run.
It was, and they had considered him for the Guineas, so they obviously have a real strong hand. Yeah. I do think this lad probably is their number one hope, and it's hard to really argue with his place at the position at 5-1,
especially with the rain around. I mean, looking at his action last year, it was a very, very soft ground action.
That'll really help him.
But a little bit of rain in the air this week will really go in his favour, I think.
If it does sort of dry up, good ground. Well, I'm going to take him on anyway, just because. I mean, it's just not in my MO really to be backing horses at that price anyway. But one horse I really do like, and he's the horse that's maybe got the most. I mean, he's only ran twice, so he's the lightest race horse.
Yeah.
It's Economics. I was so impressed with him at Newbury.
Yeah.
It's a race won by the likes of My Prospero from the same yard, Snow Lantern as well. It's a good roll of honour. I really liked his attitude. He pulled out a bit more when joint. He's going to come on a ton for that. I think they think the world of him at home as well. And he was in at Chester last week. The fact that the connections have decided to come here instead.
Yeah.
They obviously think the world of him. And I think this is a race that actually could cut up. You've got Diego Velasquez, God's Window, they've disappointed. Oh, well, Diego ran okay, to be fair. That's fortunate.
Stormer.
God's Window was a little disappointing. Black Run.
Family that is, though, that Diego Velasquez.
Oh, it's a lovely family.
For him to run so well in that Guineas today, I mean, that's some effort.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The gamest of all horses, aren't they?
Just come back to Economics, though. My angle is, I think it could be a race that cuts up maybe 6-7 runners. Cambridge was supplemented. Obviously, Aiden. I don't really like Chief Little Rock. I can't see Cambridge being good enough to win this. He's rated 98 and have supplemented him.
Yeah.
Obviously not strong on him. Caviar Heights, again, he's got a bit to find with some of the horses.
He does. I quite liked him, but my God, he's short, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, 6-1, and you got Economics at 12-1, 3 places. I think he's a very strong each way bet. I think he's got so much more to come. Really nice horse. He's going to improve for the step up to 10 as well. Yeah. I find it hard to kind of pick holes in him.
I mean, it's a flyer, isn't it? It's a flyer, but it's got enough logic behind it to be an informed flyer. Because I mean, that's a good favourite.
It's a good favourite, but actually, take him out, and we're talking about a really poor Dante.
Really are, yeah. I mean, I do like Al Musmac, but is he really going to be one of those horses you step up and trip this year?
Exactly, he's just not a horse that I don't think is Group 1 class. I think he's a solid enough Group horse, but
he's just been handy for rating races, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He was really well campaigned last year.
Yeah,
solid enough horse, as I say, but I don't think he's a top notcher. Could have improved a lot. Obviously, this is his first run as a 3-year-old, so we'll have to see. I would much rather take Economics, who we've seen already this season. We know he's going to suit the trip, and is obviously highly regarded as well. I think 12 to 1's a really good each way bet for me.
Yeah, or just back the faff. On we go.
Well,
we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. It's not really in our nature, that.
No, so moving on to Friday.
Indeed.
The big race is obviously the big clash between Tower of London and Vauban.
Vauban. You have a fairly strong opinion on this, don't you?
Well, we were just discussing on the tube on the way, and Kyprios, I assume, is going to go to the Saddlebeg on the same day. He's not going to run. I think Al Karim Giovaletto won it last year. Yeah.
They're
good horses, but I think a step below these lads. And you've got Tower of London 7 to 4 and Vauban at 4 to 1.
You do.
I mean, I can't have much between these two at all. I know we spoke in the first episode of how impressive Tower of London was. He's obviously got a lot of speed. That's why Ryan probably would stay away from the Ascot Gold Cup. So mile 60, I'll be absolutely fine for him, obviously. But Vauban, I mean, how impressive he was last year. I think he's almost priced up on his running in the Melbourne Cup, which going over to the other side of the world. I think I read a quote somewhere that William Mullen saw he suffered in the heat a little bit. He was beaten about 4 or 5 furlongs out. You could see Ryan was getting at him early days there. I think that's a race you could put a line through. It's absolutely destroyed Absurd at Royal Ascot. Obviously, he's went and won the Ebor and Cheltenham and whatnot, but
he's simple enough, isn't he? Goes from the front.
Yeah, I mean, take out Melbourne Cup. I think he's favourite here, and I think 4 to 1. I mean, you get some muggy each way bets. Like, it's very hard to see him out the places. I mean, if pressed at the moment, it's not really a betting race for me. I don't think, but I do think Vauban's far too big compared to Tower of London.
I completely agree. We're on the same page. I'm teetering on the edge. I think because of the fact that, we've obviously been very, very impressed with Tower of London.
Well,
very impressed. But is he not just turning into a really, really handy 10 furlong, 1.5 mile horse, and yet he's over 1.6 miles here? For this, I would love to see a good few turn up in this, and it be a strong gallop, and we will see, because I don't know, he didn't exactly seem to love the Leger last year.
Yeah,
he was running well in that Leger for a long way, and then faded out a bit, I thought. So when he went to Dubai, obviously it was very slow gallop, and he managed to clock just ludicrous,
crazy
closing sectionals there. I think he's, is he just not over the wrong trip here? And then is not then, with Kyprios going elsewhere, Vauban just the clear standout? And so you could just take your 4 to 1 here and be...
It was that impression in the Middle East for me that just frightens the life out of me. I think it was so impressive.
But it was a complete departure from what we'd seen so far.
It was, but obviously
Is he going to get the same conditions in this race?
Well, we know Vauban's going to handle any ease in the ground.
Yeah.
Tower of London, I think, obviously probably does prefer a bit quicker.
Yeah.
As you were just saying there, it should be a good turnout. Nakib, Middle-earth, Salt Bay, Gregory as well.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit to prove now, but this time last summer, he looked going into the Gold Cup. He was one of the big players.
Certainly was. Yeah. So he's an interesting player. I think it's just too hard. There's too much guessing going on here to have a bet, I think, at the moment. I might regret that. I think I might regret that.
I think you probably will. There's no doubt this 4 to 1 is not going to last.
It's not going to last, but I don't know what the scenario is going to be, because I'd like to see a good few runners in here. If this turns into a tactical sprint, he's got no hope over that. He's going to get slaughtered. Yeah, but he's
so versatile. Like William Buick could put him anywhere. Could make the run again.
Exactly, but he's going to have to go.
It is hard to make the run at York.
Yes, and he's going to have to go a decent gallop to not get mown down by that monster, because there's no way Vauban can do under 22 seconds for the final 2 furlongs of a race. So I do think I worry. I'd like to see a good gallop. If you got the likes of Gregory in there.
Yeah, no, he should run. He's dropped up.
Yeah, so. I'm all over the place. I'm struggling. I can't.
No bet for me.
I can't in good faith put a bet.
Okay. What bets do we have for this week then?
It's an interesting question. Do you want to start us off?
So I've got 4 more, obviously with economics each way.
Well, I only have 1 more. So
okay. Do you want to do your first?
No.
Okay.
We'll break yours.
We'll break it down. We'll do 2 of mine on Wednesday. The first 2 races of the week. Yeah. It's going to be tears early on if this doesn't go well.
Indeed.
Of course, we remind everyone to bet responsibly. But one horse that maybe I've certainly spoke ill of him last season to you, call them a bit of a boat. But this was a higher level of group horse. Yeah. This is Klondike in the Yorkshire. He obviously ran well enough in Newmarket that day behind Castleway, Tarrabloon as well. We know that's obviously really good, solid Group 2 form.
Yeah.
Klondike's now.
Ryan dropped his whip that day, didn't he?
He did as well. He probably should have won.
Yeah.
But Klondike, he's rated 103. I think that's quite lenient anyway. He was disappointing the last time I saw him at Newbury. I think he made a noise that day that his wind's been tweaked.
Yeah.
So coming now, if that's had the desired effect, I think there's been bits and bobs of blue around. There was 8-1, which I'm annoyed I didn't take now. You can still get 6-7-1.
Yeah.
I think if that little alteration of his wind, he's obviously already shown group level form already. He'd be top weight off this of 103, but I don't think that's a problem. He reminds me of similar winners in this race for Haggis, 4-year-olds, Ilarab and Gathy. Mm-hmm. This fella has already shown probably a bit more at this stage coming into the race as well. He's already jocked up. I think it's quite important that he gets a bit of ease in the ground. So I am hoping these showers do materialise. It does look likely. So yeah, good to soft. I think 6-7-1 again. He's a really solid each way bet for me.
Sounds great. I mean, he's a proper Dower galloper. I think he needs.
And they'll go a proper gallop.
He needs to be ridden more aggressively than he was at times last
year. He does, yeah.
And we just have to hope that the wind operation has the desired effect, don't we?
Yeah, I'm quite confident it probably will. I don't think we'll see him in the handicaps at all after this.
Fascinating. Right, fantastic. Next one.
The next one. Now this is also I've never backed before, but I'm sure it's burned a lot of fingers.
Here we go.
And it's a horse we were mentioning just the other day. But
you have the patience to put this up.
Well, that's
patience,
it. I've never backed him before, but he at 8-1 here. That's a Razio in the 245 on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. The second race in the meeting. Rated 100. This horse obviously is an unbelievable workhorse. If you think of all the good sprinters that Charlie Hills has. Garrus, obviously in the same colours.
Yeah.
Cardem. Yeah. He's just got Mitbar here. I can't imagine he's worked too many times with him. But
every time he runs, he is punted off the
I think he's been favourite 5 or 6 the last time. But obviously he's such a generous workhorse. He was impressive. Newmarket and Ascot last season.
Yeah.
I think the ground was too quick for him. He ran absolutely fine in the World Cup. I mean, he was punted in the 7-2 favourite. He must have been working like Franco. But that's what I mean. And then running in races like the Air Gold Cup, I mean, that's a nightmare of a race. Heavy ground as well at the Stewards Cup before that.
Yeah.
And then going to Doncaster, a tactical race like it was, 5, 6, 7 runners or whatever it was. I think he probably would have needed the run anyway. He's went to Newmarket the last day, he stumbled out the stalls. Mm-hmm. I think in the report, he wasn't quite right in behind, so you can put a line through that as well. I think now he's probably priced up on that, and maybe people losing patience as well.
Yeah.
I think 8-1 is just a massive price. When you consider 7-2 for a Wokingham not so long ago, I mean, he's going to be fit. Absolutely fine.
He's got a good few duck eggs next to his name.
I mean, if you look at his form on the bare face of it there, it doesn't look the most appealing, but that 6 is in a Wokingham. Third, as I say, Donny the last day. Montasib is 8-1 for the Duke of York, which we discussed just earlier. Again, I think he's a really good group horse this year. I think he's got more to offer. That's really solid form in here. These lads are all obviously got all your old favourites. Summerhand caught the eye last time, chairman of the board.
What a legend of a horse.
I'm convinced Orazio is going to absolutely bolt up, and it could well be the Wokingham, because I do think that track suits him. But I just don't think he wants extremes of the ground. He doesn't want really quick and he doesn't want really heavy. Yeah. So good to softs, absolutely ideal for him. Yeah. William Buick's already jocked up. He knows the horse well.
Yeah.
And it would just annoy me now after thinking about it for the last week that I'm convinced this horse has got a real big race in him this year. And I'm sure obviously people have probably thought that going over the last season. Oh, well, he'll win the Wokingham. He'll win the Stewards Cup. He'll win Air Gold Cup.
Would you not be worried that his big day will be the Wokingham?
Possibly, yes. Possibly. But I just think this could be a really York track that could suit him, I think.
You've had to make quite a lot of excuses for this horse. And it's not something you often do when I follow the kind of your threads of your kind of punting logic.
Yeah, I think
you're not a big one for giving excuses for very tricky horses.
I think how you said there, economics, it was a bit of. I think this is a bit of a fly, but I am absolutely convinced that this is a group horse.
Right.
I think he'd really I wouldn't even be surprised if he'd run him in like Cardham in the Diamond Jubilee. Like I honestly think he could win.
Well, yeah, but he's just waiting for him to bolt up in one of these races.
I think so. Well, if you remember Cardham,
did.
Yes, exactly. In the Stuart, I don't think obviously Charlie Hills is so good with his. He doesn't get it wrong, does he? No. This horse must be a proper tool. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have that.
Yeah. Caveat. I think he must be a proper tool, and I'm convinced he'll win one. Now, this is going to be a chain of a cliff horse coming from here.
I think brave boy.
But I just think 8-1. I mean,
yeah,
you could easily see him going up like 3-1 or shorter. I really could.
Okay, fair enough. I struggle to see this one, but best of luck to you.
Cheers.
I put your hard hat on and get ready.
Well, it will be interesting in the comments. People are going to say, "Well, what's this guy going on about?" Burnt fingers all along. But as I say, I think I'm probably subconsciously, I'm a bit more forgiving because he's not carried my cash to this point. So we'll have to see.
We will have to see.
It's time for your tip anyway.
It is. It's tricky, this tip. It's tricky because we just don't know where they're going to run.
Okay.
And I can't really tip the horse properly.
Well, what's the horse?
The horse is a horse called Composite.
Okay.
George Bowie horse. Cracksman. Right. I really, really like him.
Yeah.
He's very lightly raced. He's only had 5 starts. Twice he's been on the turf, and that's he's run quite well. He's run to a decent level on the turf, but he's won twice on the all-weather over trips about 1.5 miles. Yeah. I think this horse has shown a lot of talent and ability. I think he will strengthened up over the winter a lot. I say by Cracksman, a sire that I really, really like.
Yeah.
Puts also a nice bit of stamina, a nice bit of speed into it. I think we've seen that in some of his races and the way he's been going. I think off a mark of 87 this year in a kind of real eyeballs out gallop for the handicap, he's going to come through and win. I think he's going to progress up towards the high 90s, and so I'm keeping an eye out for where he's going to run.
Okay.
York and Newbury look like most likely he could run on the last race on the Wednesday.
Okay.
But there are a good few options. I'd like to see him over 1.5 miles. I think stamina is really his thing. But he does have that ability to travel through these middle distance races. So he's just eye catching. I like the way he travels. I think he's better than his current mark. So it's one of those where we don't have bucket loads of evidence, but on what I've seen, I really like this horse, and I'm going to be following him this year. And we'll see how he goes. But I think he's a high 90s horse. So he's one for the viewers to watch out for. We're obviously doing this on a Sunday night ahead of a very busy week of racing.
Yes.
It's quite hard to nail down tips we know are going to run. I don't like tipping horses that
you don't even have a market on.
So, I think it's impossible. So, but he's a horse that wherever he runs, I think because he's got a fair amount in hand, I think people should be taking him very seriously.
Okay. Certainly one for the tracker then.
One for the tracker for sure.
Multiple entries.
Exactly.
That's probably a nice lead on from mine. Both of mine don't have marks, odds on mine yet. My next one would be on Thursday afternoon, the last race.
Yeah.
It's a horse to follow that I put up in the first episode, Align the Stars.
Yeah.
Calpana certainly advertised that form again at Newmarket.
That was a real tough one to take that in hindsight, wasn't it?
We just bumped it on a
proper
group horse, didn't we?
Yeah.
The good thing was that he's been left unchanged because he's been beaten 10 lengths. But that's Align the Stars, and he's going to go for a race that the Johnston team seem to target. They've won this race 4 of the last 8 years. Baghdad, one of the horses that had won this, he went on to Royal Ascot success. Tried and tested route. They do have a couple in here.
Yeah.
It hasn't been jocked up yet. As I said, there's no market either.
Yeah.
But again, market 79 now. I've said it before. I think this lad could be around 100 horse.
I think because he got slapped so badly, in terms of the distance to the winner, he will still be under the radar.
Possibly, yes.
I would hope for you, because
the good thing was he was the first one under the pump as well, and I really liked his attitude. He obviously wanted a step up open trip, which he gets here, mile 4.
Well, with his siblings as well, that
exactly.
attitude is an issue.
Possibly, yeah. I haven't seen any of that yet, but
it can come though.
It could come. He still hasn't won a race, of course. So when the going gets tough, we'll see. But I just think that there's quite a lot in his favour here. It's a warm race, but it makes sense that he's going to run, as I say, the Johnston Angle.
Yeah.
It's a race they like to target. The form's really solid. He's going to improve for a step up and trip, and he's very well handicapped, top 79. Good thing is it's such a warm race. I was really impressed with High Order the other day when he won. Looks like he's going to run. There's a few other nice winners, London City, Per Contra, Palace Green as well. He could be double figures here, and he'd be solid enough.
I think he's likely to be, yeah.
I think he is, yeah.
I think he's very likely to be. What would you be hoping for? About like a 16 to 1, 14 to 1?
I think it might not be that, maybe 10 to 1. I'd be happy with 10 to 1 and above each way, absolutely. Be interesting who gets the ride. Open Secret's also in. Joe Fanning probably rides. Maybe Richard Kingscote, who's rode him before. But yeah, no, as I say, want him on it. I can't really tip him up without a price. But,
no, of course.
I do like him, as everyone knows.
And final tip.
Final tip. So I'm going in search of a birthday winner on Friday. And again, this is another horse to follow.
Can we ask how old you are?
No. We'll keep that under wraps.
Moving on.
People put in the comments how old they think.
Have a guess. Have a guess.
Yeah.
I think it's quite hard to place.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think
anywhere between 18 and 50.
Yeah. Well, 50 is probably a push. I'd say.
That's true. So anywhere between.
I think 39 would be the top end. The top end of the spectrum.
Okay. Moving swiftly on. The 4:45 on
We
Friday.
digress.
All my birthday money, which won't be that much. Again, gamble responsibly.
Yeah.
The two horses that I'm most excited about, I've already put that on record. Align the Stars and Aurora Dawn. I think this is a black type filly in the making.
Yeah.
She's rated 82. I'm a little concerned because I think she's better over a straight mile.
Yeah.
As we know with Sacred, there's a bit of a bend early on, and it doesn't always suit horses, as we know.
No. And
some horses just don't take to York. I'd worry maybe she'd be like that. But as I say, I just think she's got buckets in hand off 82. She's going to be a price as well, I think, in what's going to be a 14-15 runner race.
Yes.
You'd be worried again on the draw, so I'd wait for that. But yeah, it's hard to even forecast what a price would be. But it's maybe one to follow us on social media, Twitter.
Yeah.
We'll probably give a better idea once we've had a look at the draw, the ground. She probably does one quicker ground, so that would be a worry as well.
Yeah.
So see what it is. Good to soft would probably be fine. But no, I really do like her.
I think she's one to really keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say I'd be more excited about her than.
I've been monitoring the entries, and there isn't too many races over 7. But
no.
I was wondering if they might run in the Victoria Cup.
Yeah,
like that's how good I think she is.
Fantastic. I think that's a wrap, Jack.
I think it is. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to York. It's always as I say, it's a favourite meeting of mine, and it's always class race.
Yeah, I mean we're really getting through the gears now, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Like as I said in the first episode, it's always like Chester York when it really does get going, and it does feel like we're moving through the gears now. It's exciting.
Well, fantastic. All that's left to do is to remind everyone, please do gamble responsibly, of course, and don't have all your birthday money on a single horse. That is never the right way to go, unless you're Jack Nicol. But he had a fair success last year, so the coffers are full with cash. So yes, but do gamble responsibly, please. Please do like and subscribe, comment as usual. Let's have your opinions. I mean, City of Troy, where would you go next? It's the obvious question. Everybody wants to know.
Any fancies for the week?
And of course, any fancies for a fantastic week's racing. I hope you enjoy it all on Racing TV, and we'll see you very soon.